Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Mirror Protocol, see kind of what's going on. And just so you know, not a financial advisor, love teaching people how to trade. And thank you so much to my community member for requesting that I cover this. Nick, thank you. I appreciate your patience. I know you've been asking for this for a little while and just want to make sure to find the time for you. So appreciate that. And if you're not currently a community member, link in the description below, CryptoCache.tech. I provide my members with hopefully as much resources as possible. I got Trading Academy, Trading Community, we all learn and grow together. We have weekly roundtable discussions, but more importantly, I actually send out signals so you know how to structure your trades more effectively. So excellent stuff there. Check that out in your own time. Taking a look here at Mirror Protocol. Big picture, looking very good on the short-term time frame here. But if you look at, again, the big picture, we go back to what I believe is this ICO date back in January of last year. So roughly one year's worth of trading data here. You can see the price came all the way up to about $12. So with it being down to $2 right now, it seems very, very affordable, very, very beneficial, if you will. But keep this in mind too. When it comes to coins like this, it seems very tasty and very, something that you really want to get into because hey, well, obviously it's done very well in the past. It'll do well again. Sometimes it's not always the case. I'm not saying that about this one. I'm just saying in general, you want to be cautious and careful about investing in coins that have such low, that are so low value that were previously really high value. There's obviously some kind of fundamental catalyst that causes the price to continue to shoot upwards and something that causes it to come down. Now, if you look at the time frame, May, of course, that was the unfortunate circumstance back, the China candle, whatever you want to call it, that kind of started the first push to the downside when Bitcoin hit its peak. Okay, so that was probably the catalyst in that sense, but unfortunately, it could not regain control and just completely lost it. And if we look at the volume, it did lose a lot of volume here in this time frame, but what's interesting is there's a lot of volume, more so even recently than initially, but it just basically implies there's a lot more selling pressure. Okay, so again, just something to be mindful of. We can obviously see too as well, the amount of volume today is quite significant. So I would venture to guess there's some really important or impactful news that occurred. So what we want to know is, should you FOMO in? Is it too late? Let's go ahead and look at that, right? So look at the simple moving averages. We are up over the 50 and under the 200. Okay, so traditionally speaking, being up over the 50 is a very, very good sign. And if you look at its history, it was well over 50 and stayed under for some time, peaked above, and it's kind of been jumping up and down, but ever since, November, it's literally been under the 50-day SMA the entire time. So with it being back up above, it's a very, very good sign, especially with it being above over the last few trading days. Yes, it broke down below, but you can kind of see here too, if I were to remove that, you were to look, and you can see this trend line here. Basically, this is this trend line is drawn because of these lines here, right? So we see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. Well, not in a row, but within about a week and a half, you can see that there's 4 trading days where the price could not pass 154. However, it continues to progress upwards here, making higher lows, and now it broke to the upside. So that's a very good sign, and I'm not surprised to see that based on just the technical chart alone here. And this descending type of pattern is effectively broken with it pushing to the upside here. Now, granted, the day isn't over yet, right? We still got one more candlestick. This candlestick hasn't closed, but pending it closes above $1.54, we should expect it to continue to progress higher. Okay. All right. So that's just something I wanted to kind of show you there in that sense, based on these trend lines and how that's going to be. That's a very beneficial break to the upside, because when you see a long trend line occurring, you could even argue that there is a trend line here as well. That was broken, right? So there's a lot of little trends that are kind of changing and shifting gears here. And the crazy thing about this is, yesterday was a very, very red day, and today, yes, albeit a weekend, there's a lot of buying pressure. Okay. So really good stuff there. I would speculate that this is a good price to buy on. It certainly looks like a good value, considering, again, its history and how well it's done in the past. Is it going to hit $12 again this year? Hard to say. Who knows? But potential of 6x would be nice, right? Again, something like this, if you're going to invest into it, small percentage of your total portfolio. I always recommend when we're doing our swing trades, for example, to do 3 to 5% of your total portfolio, and to ensure that you are not overextending yourself. Do not put all of your money into this one thing and hope it goes to the moon. That, I think, is irrational. It's not good trading. That's gambling, and you want to avoid that. But the truth be told here is it's broken some significant trend lines, and it's done very well in the past. I mean, the likelihood of it being at $4 to $5 is fairly high, considering as long as it can continue this volume and this uptrend, I think we'll see it continue higher based on that sentiment alone, with it breaking its trend lines. But let's go ahead and look at some other key indicators here too. We're well up over 50 on the RSI. We're in fact trending closer to 70. That's a great sign. It is a little overextended, of course, but let's see how healthy that overextension is. So taking a look at the 4 hour, okay, this isn't great. And when I say healthy too, I like to see staircase patterns. So if you're new to the channel, a pattern like this, for example, would be great. Now, it doesn't look like it has a history of doing that. It has a history of pushing up in short bursts and then selling off pretty strong too. So I would anticipate a correction as well from Mirror Protocol based on the simple fact that it's extremely overextended. And when you look at the Bollinger Bands or look at volume weighted average price on a lower time frame, you'll quickly identify that we're well outside that standard deviation, and what goes up must come down. So, if you're in the profit right now, it might be advantageous to consider taking this profit depending on your type of trade you have, right? If you're long-term hodling for this coin, add to your position DCA, perfectly fine. Continue to do that, that's okay. But if you have a short-term trade, for example, a day trade or swing trade, you may want to consider taking your profits because this is a pretty decent increase. I mean, you look at this here, in only 8, possibly 12 hours, potentially 12 hours, it's up about 75% as a rough estimate. It's quite a lot of movement in a short amount of time. So traditionally, when you see something like that happen, it will likely retrace, okay? And the likelihood of it retracing down, I think, why don't we go ahead and go with a closer Fibonacci retracement level so we can kind of understand here. So let's go with the most recent high and go to the most recent low. All right, and look at this here. Traditionally speaking, when it's going to, if it were to retrace, the more likely than not, the price comes down to 0.5 on Fibonacci. Now, I'm not expecting it to come down to $1.31. I'm not saying that. That's the normal based on its traditional overextension. But in this case here, if we look at it, you can see that it's actually pushing very strong. It's well past the most recent high of 163, and it's obviously up in the upper echelon of the Fibonacci retracement. So, I mean, to be this high in this short amount of time is it's not ideal. Okay, so again, just to kind of be the voice of reason here, please make sure you exercise caution when you invest in this coin. And what I mean by that is that it'll probably likely continue to increase because there's obviously a fundamental catalyst. The amount of volume here is amazing, but just know we could see more selling pressure when the weekday opens, the traditional market, where this weekend it might be kind of just taking it easy. And when I say taking it easy, we're talking about increased volume, but still more so going sideways. Now, to help translate, because I know that probably didn't make any sense, I just recommend you always be careful with whatever trade you're taking, right? That's the kind of trader that I am. I'm more conservative. I don't like to say it's going to go to the moon because the likelihood of that could be there, but I don't like to be hypey, and I like to make sure to keep you grounded, if you will. And it's important to do the same thing yourself as well too, so make sure that you always kind of think about the big picture. Hey, this has potential, but it's extremely overextended in the short term, so the likelihood of a pullback is higher, okay? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Apologize, I could have just said that instead of just going in circles, but I have a tendency of doing that. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some other key indicators here. TD sequential is going to tell us we're probably overextended. And this is something to pay attention to. Now, it's not always a guarantee, but oftentimes when you see a 9 on TD sequential, it's basically telling you that the fourth previous candlestick, it's higher than the fourth previous candlestick. So we count up to a 9 here, we got 1 hour of consolidation and the next leg up. So we're 3 hours into overtime, and the likelihood of it continuing much higher is fairly low based on the simple fact that it's overextended and it's exhausted, okay? Because again, normally what you'd like to see in these Fibonacci retracement levels is for the price to leg up each tier or each Fibonacci retracement line. This has literally gone straight from here to here, okay? And that's a lot of movement in a short amount of time. So in 9 hours, we're up about 75%. So just think logically, do you think this is going to continue higher when it's showing all signs of exhaustion and the fact that it has a history of selling off after it increases, right? Again, big picture, think about that. Its history does have a tendency of coming up and then coming back down again. I mean, look at this here. This is not an abnormal thing for the price to come up and to come back where it came from. So am I telling you to sell your position? No, I'm just telling you that you might want to consider taking profits because it might be advantageous due to the fact that the pullback is probably very likely. I would say at the best case scenario, the price consolidates at 186 and continues sideways for some time and then legs up again. That'd be a best case. But if it goes up any higher, I'd be actually very concerned. One last thing to look at here, just quickly jump on to the 15. I'll show you what I'm referring to with the volume weighted average price, where when you see the volume continue higher here, it kind of holds the price action down, right? Continues to hold it down. That's why we got this correction right here. So in that 15-minute time frame, it tried to break, it tried to go too far outside that standard deviation, and it came back down. Okay, so this is actually very healthy in the sense of the matter that on the 15-minute time frame, if you look, we are technically making, you know, a nice, healthy pattern. It's just that it's in such a condensed amount of time, you know, 9 hours, 75%. This doesn't matter too much considering the fact that it's overextended and we should expect a pullback. So once again, volume weighted average price, we're well above the current volume, but what's good is there's a tremendous amount of volume too. That's why their standard deviation lines are moving quickly here. Because if you compare that with the Bollinger Bands, you know, they're very synonymous in a lot of ways. Okay, so I just prefer to use the volume as a profile to help us understand and kind of go from there. In fact, why don't we do that one last thing and call it a day? Let's look at the volume profile too and see where the most amount of volume is for this coin. And it is actually, the most amount of volume is below the current price point. That's extremely important. Most of these coins, usually you'll find it to be higher because even though you had so much increase and decrease right here, the amount of volume was so much lower. So there's been more volume accumulation in the last month than the entire how long was that? July to January? Yeah, so in this 6-month time frame, we saw less volume than in the last 1 month of time frame. That's a very, very good sign. Okay, so again, that just means it has a strong foundational volume, and the likelihood of coming down any lower than 131, for example, is very low. Okay, so I would say 130 is its bottom, and that 190 is probably just getting started. So I do foresee this going higher sooner. You just got to recognize that a pullback could be a potential thing right now, and that we could expect for the price to kind of come down potentially to one of those two Fibonacci retracement levels. We might see a correction of 186. We might see a correction of 166. Those would be the two potential scenarios. As long as this next low stays above 165, we're going to be in good shape. I'd say add to your position in this channel here between 166 and 186. Because again, if it were to come lower than this, then obviously it would be breaking its most recent high. Because a good rule of thumb to try to help understand, you know, healthy continuations is if just say the price were to retrace back down, if it comes down to the next key level support and then bounces, you're good. But if you lose that previous resistance, which is supposed to be a new support level, then at that point it's bad news. Okay, so again, until the price technically comes down to 153 or lower, you shouldn't have to worry about a correction. Okay, so this correction comes down to 153 to 165. Great place to add to your position. If it comes lower, you may want to consider, taking some profits, I guess, if that makes any sense. So again, big picture, I like Mirror Protocol looking very good. I do foresee this being a coin worth investing in long term based on the technical analysis only. I don't know anything about the fundamentals, and if you do, of course, comment below so everyone can learn, and obviously just make sure that you are safe and cautious here, because I would expect a pullback. It's just a matter of how hard. Once again, doesn't hurt to add to your position and continue to just, say add at 186, add to your position at 165. As the price goes down, the likelihood of this continuing higher is very, very high just based on its previous trend lines that has been broken. It's broken free from those downward trends. That's an important indication on a coin like this. All right, enough circular conversation. I hope you took something here from this today, and thanks again, Nick, for requesting I cover this. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. If you're not currently a community member, consider joining. Link in the description below. Once again, CryptoCache.tech, and I can send out signals for every single trade that I take, and just kind of help share that with you so you learn how to structure your trades more effectively. Use trading, stop losses, and always at least 3 profit targets. It's important to do that so you ensure you're profitable in this market. Okay. Once again, thanks again. We'll see you in the next video. Have yourself a great rest of your day.